I'm Tamara, and this is TELUS Talks with Tamara Taggart. We're bringing together experts, thinkers, and leaders, busting myths, sharing stories, and staying connected when Canadians need it the most. We're having unexpected conversations for unprecedented times. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Good. I'm really excited to talk to you because you are such a wealth of information when it comes to, what kids are going through. And with the Kids Help Phone, I know you guys have seen a huge increase in the number of calls you've been receiving.
Yeah. So, I think that we all know everybody is facing challenges right now, right? This is a whole new world for every single person across Canada, in fact, across the world. And so we have been seeing a significant increase in demand for our services as more and more young people are facing these unprecedented times, right? And want to reach out and want to understand what they can do, how they can feel better. And I'm incredibly thankful that we are there for young people from all across the country.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody isn't familiar with Kids Help Phone or what you do, could you give us a quick little version of what it is? I don't know anybody that hasn't heard of Kids Help Phone, but just in case.
Yeah, well, and you know what? I find most people in Canada know Kids Help Phone. It's a name that we all grew up with, that we know and we trust. But a lot of people also think of us as we were 30 years ago. So it is good to refresh people about what we do now. So we've been around for 30 years. We are Canada's only 24/7 e-mental health solution, basically, for young people, which means we provide support and counseling to young people virtually. We do it over the phone. We have a texting service that young people can, so they can call, they can text in. We have a website, kidshelpphone.ca, that provides all of the access points, but it also provides a ton of information for kids and parents, including what to do right now with COVID, how to do social distancing, how to talk to your kids about what's happening. And then the other thing that we have is the largest database in Canada of services and supports. So young people can find supports in their own community if they're available and if they're still open. And so we realize that we're kind of a go-to place for a lot of young people, but we also want to help them connect to places within their community.
Mm-hmm. So with Kids Help Phone, is it something that, is it somewhere that kids phone in secrecy, or is it somewhere that kids phone with the knowledge of their parents, or do parents encourage kids to call?
I'd say all of the above, right? Mm. I'm a parent and I have a 9-year-old and I tell her all the time, look, I hope you can come to me about anything, but I also recognize she might not. And so I hope that she will call Kids Help Phone if she can't come to me. So a lot of young people contact us because their parents have told them to and they think it might be helpful. Some contact us when their parents don't know and they're desperate to not have their parents know. Because if you think about it, for a kid, there's really very few things that you own without your parents, right? You often need a health card or you need some parental permission to do things. And Kids Help Phone is one of those few things kids own themselves. So if they want to contact us and have nobody else know about it, that's perfectly fine. If a parent wants to sit with them while they talk to a counselor and hear what the counselor is saying, that's fine as well. And so we really like to say that our service is kind of in the hands and control of kids. And so they reach out when and how they want. They reach out as many times as they want. And they choose whether it's phone or text, which way works best for them.
Mm-hmm. So how has it changed with this pandemic? How have you seen, what kind of an increase are we talking about?
So in general, our contacts have more than doubled from a year ago. Interestingly, about 40% of our conversations right now are related somehow to coronavirus or COVID-19. And what we're really seeing is increases in conversations about substance abuse, increases in conversations about abuse and neglect. We're seeing large increases in conversations around isolation and then generalized anxiety, right? And all of those things make sense given the context of what we're living through right now. On the plus side, we have seen some decrease in suicidal contacts. So we're seeing self-harm and suicide contacts go down slightly. But I'll say that, when young people contact us about abuse and neglect, that is always challenging. Those are incredibly vulnerable young people. And when we are in a situation when we all are supposed to be staying home, those conversations become even more complicated as we think about how do we keep those young people safe.
Yeah, I was thinking, this morning before I connected with you here that, for a lot of kids, school is a safe place. It's a place where they get to go and feel like a kid and be safe, because home may not be safe for them. I'm not sure we're thinking about that when it comes to school and what it means to stay home. And, everybody's talking about, stay home, stay safe. Well, what happens when your home isn't safe?
Yeah. And I think that's true for both kids and adults, right? We also know that a lot of adults are experiencing domestic violence, for example, in higher rates. I think the reality is all kids are different. So for some kids, this has been really great. They still are enjoying that they get to be at home. They get to watch more TV. Maybe they have siblings they can play with. For other young people, this is incredibly challenging, whether it is because at home they're facing abuse, whether it is their own anxiety about what's happening, the fact that they don't have the routines, that they can't see their friends, maybe all the things that really bring them joy and a sense of peace are things outside of the home. And so part of what we do at Kids Help Phone is really each young person that comes to us, we take their lead, right? So for the young person who calls and says, I'm really struggling with my relationship with my parents, then okay, let's talk about that. The young person who is talking about the anxiety and that they can't sleep, well, let's talk about that. So it's really up to each young person to bring what is it that's causing them to not feel very good? What is it that's causing them distress? And let's work through it and let's figure out, first of all, let's validate it. It's okay to have those feelings. And I think I can say most of us across Canada are having some of those feelings. So let's validate that. Let's not just rush to tell kids everything's going to be okay, because it's not okay right now, right? We are in a different world. But then let's also talk through it. What can you still do? What is still within your power and control? And let's help kids feel some sense of agency and some sense of building that resiliency.
How important is it for parents right now to be listening to their kids?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's always important as parents to listen to our kids. I also think it's one of the hardest things, right? I mean, as a parent, we have this tendency, we just build our relationship with our young people in our lives. And so we talk over them sometimes. We say, oh, don't worry about it and minimize. And so it is hard to really both listen and also notice, right? What is it that your kids are maybe doing differently now than what they used to do before? Are they having problems sleeping? Are they regressing in behavior in any ways? Are they not connecting with their friends? Right? So all of those things are important for parents to do. And at the same time, I want to recognize it's hard to be a parent right now as well, right? A lot of us are juggling work and homeschooling. A lot of us are juggling the fact that we aren't employed anymore. And how are we going to pay our bills? So this isn't about blaming parents. It's around the fact that all of us are doing the best we can, including kids. And how do we try our best to support them given the unique circumstances that we're in?
Yeah, I'm curious what your thoughts are on how much we should be sharing with our kids. Like you, I have a 9-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 12-year-old. And I thought, okay, well, maybe they should be watching a little bit of news just so they understand what's happening across Canada, what's happening around the world. It's very different in every country. And it went well the first time. It was okay. We watched some local news, but then we watched some national news yesterday, and it did not go well. Like my daughter said to me, can we stop watching this? And we only watched it for about 4 minutes. And I said, yes, of course. And we talked about it. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard one. The reality is, I think that a lot of parents, we try and shelter our kids from all sorts of things. And then they hear about it from their friends. They hear about it on the internet, right? So I do think it's important that we talk to young people, that we're honest about what's going on right now, but in a developmentally appropriate way, right? So depending on their age, there are some really good things that have been put out lately about talking to young people about COVID. We watched with my daughter, for example, the press conference that Justin Trudeau did, answering young people's questions. So there are some things that I think are really appropriate. I tend to get nervous, particularly with sort of 11 and under, about just turning on the news because you just never know what that next story is going to be. But I do think, young people are citizens of the world and they need to know how this is impacting them. And if we don't tell them, they fill in the gaps. And usually what they fill in the gaps with will be scarier than what's actually happening, right? And so I think it's about knowing your kids and what they can handle based on their own level of fear and anxiety and how they handle this in general. And then finding appropriate things, whether it is at Kids Help Phone's website or other websites that you know and trust that maybe have information that's really geared towards helping kids through this.
And what are your thoughts on, social media? It's so important for a certain age group. And as a parent, you can't really control, like you were just talking about the news. You don't know what that next story is going to be. Well, we don't know what you're going to see on social media. Do you get a lot of, do you get much of that at Kids Help Phone about social media and the stresses of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I would say, cyberbullying is something that we have heard for years from young people about, as is sexting. Right now, I think that a lot of young people are finding incredible connection through social media because they can't connect in other ways. And that's always been a challenge with social media, right? As a parent, as soon as you hear that maybe your child is being cyberbullied, our gut is to say, okay, we're taking away all devices. You're not going to do this any longer. But that's how kids talk to each other. And in this time when, in fact, they can't go out and spend time with their friends, they can't run around together, social media is actually, I think, playing a really important role in helping young people still feel like they have relationships. And there are ways that you can monitor it, particularly for younger kids. So, if you had asked me a month ago if I was going to allow my child to be on some of these social media apps, I would have said, no way, she's way too young. As soon as we went into isolation, I thought, well, how is she going to talk to friends? Because she doesn't want to just talk to the two of us. So we set her up and she now talks to all her friends, but we see everything that happens. We get all the notifications. So I think it's finding what's safe and appropriate for kids given their age, monitoring it based on their age. And then also, again, just continuing to watch your child. If they're staying up to all hours of the morning because they're on social media, that might be different and you might need to address it versus someone that's just getting on it every once in a while to feel connected and share what's happening.
Let's talk a little bit about the volunteers that work with you. Have you needed more volunteers? Do you have enough people to meet the demand right now?
Yeah. So we have, just to clarify, we have sort of two groups of people at Kids Help Phone. When you call, you are going to get a paid professional counselor. So we have staff counselors all over Canada, and they are doing one-on-one counseling sessions. So they are professionals. Then we have our texting service. And our texting service is made up of trained volunteers from, again, all over Canada. And every conversation is overseen in real time by paid professional supervisors. So we have kind of two different groups of people that respond. For our volunteers, we put out a call about maybe 2.5, 3 weeks ago across Canada, and we said, we need more people. We had trained about 2,000 at that time over the last 2 years. We have had 6,000 people apply.
Wow.
Awesome. And I have to say, it warms my heart that so many Canadians have raised their hand and said, I want to be a part of this. Because it's also something you can do in this time. You do it from your home. You do it on your own time. You do it after you've put your kids to sleep or after you're done work or first thing in the morning because you like to kind of help out at the beginning. So we are now bringing on tons of new staff to be able to train these people because training them takes staff time. But we are on track in the next 2 months to train more people than we've trained in the last 2 years total.
Wow.
So it's pretty extraordinary. What I would say is we've got amazing uptick in volunteers. The two groups that we always need, if you are a night owl and you like to be up all night long or the wee hours, we need you because that's when most people stop volunteering. And if you are bilingual in French and English. So those are the two groups that we are always looking for. And we're moving through that list of volunteers as fast as we can.
And if somebody is interested, would they just find that information on how to volunteer on your website?
Yeah, they can go to kidshelpphone.ca and it's all the information. They fill out an application. They provide references. They do a police background check, which we do for them. And then they go through a 36-hour training, but they do it all from their pajamas and their couch.
Wow. A lot of people are talking, Elisa, about, what life will look like after this pandemic. How, will we change? Will we be a more caring society? Will we be, more aware of how, we treat each other? What are your thoughts on that? What do you see happening, or what do you hope will happen?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had a crystal ball to look into for so many reasons. I don't actually know what will happen. I can say what I hope will happen is that we might all start appreciating a little bit more what used to seem painful to us, right? So all of those things that were, I have to do this, that now we miss. And I can say even for myself, I mean, taking that moment to have gratitude for what you have and what you can do, not only is that good for our mental health, it's good for just our well-being and our family and our sense of purpose and community. And so I do think that hopefully through this, we will be able to recognize some of those things that we had that we now feel are missing, so that when we get them back, we can appreciate them a little bit more. I think another, one of the things that has been extraordinary to me in this time is people reconnecting with people. So, I mean, certainly I've seen all over my social media, high schools having reunions. I talk to people that I haven't talked to in years. And the reality is I could have reached out to them and had a Zoom call or WebEx or whatever at any time. But for some reason now, in this time of feeling isolated, that's happening. And so that sense of building new connections or rekindling old connections is also something I hope we'll bring forward.
Yeah, I feel that too. I feel exactly that. And also this idea, I was always so busy. Everybody was so busy. I think that's why we never saw any of our friends as adults, right? Because we're so busy juggling kids and work and this and that and everything. So busy. And at the end of the day, so tired. And this, I hope, like you, that we remember this connection and we remember what it's like to be with our kids and have people close and just remembering what's important. Because I think that in the busyness of everyday life, we tend to get a little bit, we just forget what's important, like you said, right? And, it's when I think about our kids and our teenagers and these different stages and how life is so different now for kids than it was when you and I were kids. It must be hard to be a teenager right now during this pandemic, because your whole existence sort of, revolves around your social life in some ways.
Yeah. I mean, I think being a teenager is always hard. I mean, you have hormonal things. It's just everything is changing, right? I do think that, again, things like social media and some of those pieces that we didn't have growing up are also protective factors for young people in this time of social isolation. But I want to get back to the point you were making about being able to spend time together, because I do think, again, we were talking about those young people where home is not safe. And we always have to think about them. And at the same time, for some young people and some families where home is safe, this is also a precious time, right? I mean, my mom was mentioning to me the other day, she was like, your daughter's going to remember this because she hasn't spent this much time with you in probably her whole life. And that actually really touched me, right? To go, wow, you're right. Because I am always working and I'm traveling. And so I do think that there also are those moments of, how can we potentially make this into a special time, or at least have those moments of connection within our family.
And I agree with you 100%. I'm finding that with our family, and those special moments don't need to be, what I'm discovering is those special moments don't need to be fancy. You don't need to spend any money to have those special moments. You don't really need anything except for just being side by side. Like sometimes my 9-year-old just wants to cuddle with me in the middle of the afternoon. And gosh, that feels good.
Yeah.
And
I think that's also important to our health and well-being as parents, as adults, right? I mean, it gets back to what I was saying earlier. I mean, obviously I focus, as does Kids Health Phone, on young people, and we're always thinking about the well-being of young people. Well, young people are better off when the adults in their lives are also doing well. And so when we are able to take a moment and give ourselves a break, that we're doing the best we can, enjoy some of the moments, step away from the computer and work to go down and maybe have a meal with our family, all of that helps us. as well as helping the kids in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Elisa, how are you sleeping?
Good question. I never sleep great. I would say, like a lot of people, I think that my sleep is being impacted right now by what's happening in general with COVID and with coronavirus. And certainly we've seen a lot of people talking about sleep as being a challenge. Yeah, it's a challenge for me too.
It is a challenge for a lot of people. And, I don't know, I'm not sure how you're going to answer this, but what worries you? What keeps you up? I mean, if I don't mean that if you're already sleeping awful, maybe, but I'm just wondering, like, you are responsible for Kids Help Phone. You are doing such good work in the world, right? This is good work and important work. And I'm wondering if there's anything about that or kids that is worrying you right now.
Yeah, I mean, so a few things that worry me always is, one, does every young person know that we're available? And do they have the means to be able to access us? So if young people don't know that there is a place that they can contact for support, that worries me. Because for some young people, even just that knowledge is the placebo effect to help them get through. And for others, that means they're actually going to reach out. So do young people know about us? Are we broadly known for young people between 5 and 28? The other thing that I'm always looking at, it's the first thing I do every morning when I get up, is how are we doing in answering every text and every call, right? Because to me, if a young person has the courage to reach out, well, we better be there. And so I'm incredibly proud of the fact that we have stepped up our counseling staff. We talked about our crisis responders, our volunteers. So we are getting to every single contact. But I keep on that every single day because I can't stand the fact that someone would reach out and not get answered, right? And we know that helplines across Canada are really struggling. Services across Canada are really struggling. And so at Kids Help Phone, our focus is really on, again, if you have the courage to reach out, then we have to figure out a way that we're going to make sure you get an answer and that somebody is there to talk through what's going on with you. And so those are the two things that I often worry about. And then, young people and adults, we all want answers that we can't necessarily give right now. And so that's another thing around, when kids are feeling anxiety, when they're feeling heightened isolation, part of what we do is sort of collaboratively problem solve. Well, what can you still do? But for some young people, that list is small, right? And so helping them figure out what could still bring joy in their life, given this sense of unknown. And you don't know when you're going to be able to play basketball again, right? You don't know when you'll be able to go to your favorite teacher and talk to them. And dealing with that unknown is hard. And so we have to also always make sure we're supporting our counselors and our volunteers, that they're taking care of themselves so that they can be there for kids when we're all faced with this unknown and this uncertainty.
Mm-hmm. So how can we help? If someone is listening right now and, they want to help you, and maybe it's not by volunteering, maybe what you just said, what keeps you up. Like for me, that's what really, hit me was that every child knows that your services are available. How can someone like me or someone listening, how can we help you with that part of it?
So I would say everybody that's listening, if there are young people in your life, make sure they know about our website. Go there with them. Show it to them. Show them the phone number. Let them know that if they don't have a device of their own, that they can use yours to contact Kids Help Phone, and you'll let them do that and go into another room. Give them the space to have those conversations. So 100% make sure that young people know about it. Put it up on your social media with our phone number and our website and our texting number so that any young person or other adults that have young people in their life can share it. Certainly, as I said, we're still accepting applications for volunteers. And donate, right? I mean, we're a charity, so we're always looking for people to support us. And once we're through all of this, we have lots of opportunities for people to become engaged. We have a virtual walk we're doing this year, which we've done for, I think, 19 years prior to this, but it's been in person. So there's lots of ways for people to get involved with sharing the word, with donating, with volunteering, and sort of being a part of what to me is really something I'm incredibly proud of, that we in Canada, I think, should stand proud that we have a very simple system for kids. There's one number they need to know to call. There's one number they need to know to text. And that's it. So we don't have to clutter them with 500 different places. Just make sure everybody knows about Kids Help Phone, and we can be that funnel to get them out to anything else.
Elisa, you're amazing. No, truly, you are a light. So thank you so much for sharing all of that and for just for doing what you do, because you are doing good work in the world. And parents like me really appreciate people like you. So thank you very, very much.
Well, thank you. And I do have to just give a shout out. It's every single person at Kids Help Phone, from our receptionist to our counselor to our fundraiser, that are a part of this unbelievable movement and family that makes sure that every kid has a place to go.
100%. Thank you so much to everybody at Kids Help Phone for all that you do. Thank you to Elisa Simon, and be sure to join us here on TELUS Talks with Tamara Taggart every Tuesday and Thursday.